So we move to planning applications, and you may or may not be aware that application RU15/1285 has actually been withdrawn and will not be discussed this evening. So we move to application RU16/0652, Brox Nursery, Brox Lane, Ottershaw, which starts on page 27 and is being introduced by Mrs. Kelso.
Thank you, Chairman. As the Chairman said, this application is one of two applications submitted for residential development of the site, but the first application, reference 151285, has been withdrawn today by the applicant, and this is noted on the addendum. So the application 4.4 hectare site that I'm just outlining for you here, and this is Brox Road here, coming down Brox Lane, and here is the site. It's an open site in Ottershaw, and the proposal is for 12 detached two-storey dwellings in a mix of 4 and 5 bedrooms, with garages, parking and public open space, and access would be from Brox Lane. The applicant has submitted a range of supporting documents as set out in the report. And this is an aerial view of that site, and you can see the context with development surrounding it. The report provides full details of the planning history and the planning policy context, and I thought it might be helpful if I gave the committee and members of the public attending a summary. The site has been reserved as a future housing site in successive council development plans since 1993. The current local plan lists the site in Saved Policy H06 as a site that was expected to be developed later in the plan period when a need for the site to be released for residential development had been demonstrated. Reserve housing sites such as this were included in the plan as opportunities to meet housing need at a future date, when housing need exceeded site availability, which is the case as confirmed in the current Strategic Housing Market Assessment, that's the SHMAR. The government also requires local planning authorities to significantly boost the supply of housing by identifying sites to provide continuous 5 years worth of housing. The site is identified in the current SLAR for residential development, which is an evidence-based document required by the government for local planning authorities to demonstrate how this 5-year housing supply will be delivered. The current SLAR identifies housing in the order of 40 units to come forward in the first 5 years to ensure a 5-year housing supply is achieved. Currently, the council does not have sufficient land to meet the level of housing need, and on this basis, the site is now required to be released for development on the basis that it can make a substantial contribution towards meeting the housing supply shortfall. As a large site, national and local planning policy requires the site to be used effectively to best meet housing need. That means ensuring efficient use of the land and ensuring that a proportion of the units provided are done so as affordable housing as defined in the NPPF. Development proposals for up to 50 dwellings were first proposed in 2007, which the report explains were refused on a number of grounds, but an appeal inspector dismissed the applicant's appeal purely in respect of the timing and release of the site, not the principle of the development, nor the acceptability of the density or quantum of development in respect of the maximum of 50 units then proposed. Since then, housing need has increased, and therefore sites that come forward need to make the best contribution possible to meet the need. The applicant submitted the now withdrawn application in 2015, and just to remind members of the history of this was considered by the committee on the 9th of December 2015. The committee resolved to defer the determination of that application to invite the applicant to amend the application to reduce the maximum number of units and undertake further discussion with local residents about access. The applicant did not amend the scheme but chose to submit a separate application, this current one before you tonight, proposing a smaller number of units and did not withdraw the first application until today. So I'll just take you through the plans. So this is Brox Road, Brox Lane, and this is the application site here. Just to give you some context, views of the open land with trees, a view up the lane, a view down the lane, and another view here, and adjoining road. This is the detailed layout. All matters are for consideration tonight. So the development proposes an access towards this side of the Brox Lane frontage, coming in and coming round in a U shape, serving all the individual houses. As you can see, each of the houses is sited in a substantial plot, good separation distances to boundaries. Each has a garage, either detached, such as this, or attached with parking in front. Trees are to be retained both within the site and around the perimeter, and these are areas of general amenity, public open space. They're not within any particular private curtilage. Just got a selection of the elevations for you so that you can see the style and design. There's a mix of them, so I'll just run through that for you. You can see the types of houses proposed. And I'll just leave you with that layout plan. As I've explained, the layout of the dwellings would provide substantial amenity space for the proposed occupiers and maintain good separation distances to neighbours, avoiding visual impact and maintaining privacy. And as you can see, it also allows for the retention of trees and provision of open space. The design of the dwellings is traditional, which reflects the character of the surrounding area. And as I've shown you, there will be parking for each dwelling, and the County Highway Authority is satisfied there will be no harmful impacts on highway safety or highway capacity. Other technical matters are also satisfied or could be dealt with by condition if the application was acceptable in other respects, and the applicant has proposed a financial contribution towards education infrastructure improvements and SAM, which members will know that's in relation to the Thames Basin Heath Special Protection Area. The two key issues, therefore, arising from this application for 12 dwellings on this reserve site are whether the proposed quantum of development for 12 units makes the efficient and effective use of the site that the development plan and national policy require. Also, whether the scheme includes the mix of units that would incorporate affordable housing, as also required by the development plan and national policy. In respect to the first issue, paragraph 6.6 of the report sets out the relevant considerations and concludes that the proposed number of units of 12 does not make the most effective use of the land and therefore does not make a significant contribution to meeting the housing supply shortfall on a reserve housing site, contrary to your safe policies H01 and H06 of the local plan, guidance in the NPPF, and contrary to the government's intentions for housing growth as set out in the Housing White Paper. On the second issue, the Council's adopted supplementary planning guidance on affordable housing requires development of 15 units or sites of over 0.5 of a hectare, such as this, to provide affordable housing in order to increase affordable housing to meet local needs. At the time of the submission of the application did not include any provision for affordable housing, despite the site being over 0.5 per hectare. Officers have been working with the applicant to identify whether any measures could be included to achieve compliance with the policy. The applicant chose to commission a viability appraisal, which concluded that there was no viability in making any provision for affordable housing. This process is in accordance with national guidance on viability and planning, which may provide a justification in some cases for the failure to provide affordable housing. This appraisal has been scrutinised by the Council's independent consultant, who has concluded that there is sufficient headroom for a level of affordable housing provision, and officers have therefore concluded that the development would be viable with the inclusion of affordable housing based on the applicant's own viability appraisal, and there is no evidence to support an argument that no development of the site would be brought forward. Since the agenda was published, the applicant has stated that they would make a financial contribution of £150,000 towards off-site affordable housing. This proposal has been considered in detail by officers, including the Council's Head of Housing, and the addenda has provided the full response. On the basis of the expert advice from the Council's Housing Department, it is considered that this amended proposal to make such a financial contribution still does not deliver a policy-compliant affordable housing scheme to increase the number of affordable homes, contrary to the Council's adopted supplementary planning guidance and the NPPF. The application is therefore recommended for refusal for two reasons. as set out on page 33 and as amended on the addendum. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mrs. Kelso. May I ask Mr. French, who is speaking as a director on this application. Thank you, Mr. French. You will have 5 minutes or 1 minute or 4.5.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for inviting me to speak this evening. I am the Secretary of Brox Lane Residents Association, otherwise known as BLARA. We are supporting this application for 12 units. I must admit to feeling a little baffled that I have to speak this evening. The application addresses the reasons for deferral of the application for 40 units brought before this committee in December 2015. This new application has 128 letters of support. The previous application had 423 letters of objection. At the previous meeting, Councillor Butterfield asked this committee to defer their application and invite the applicant to do 3 things. Number 1, agree access rights with the residents. Number 2, reduce the number of units to 14 or less. And number 3, provide a footpath for pedestrian safety. On access rights, for the last 18 months, we have worked extensively with A2. Week after week, month after month, we have addressed everything from the estate layout to the road surface, the footpath and utilities. It is a great example of an inclusive approach to housing design and provision. I am pleased to say that we have reached agreement on access rights. In reaching the agreement, the legal cost on our side alone has amounted to £40,000. For deferment reason number 1 on access rights, BLARA and A2 delivered what this committee asked us to do. On density, A2 have produced a design consistent with the density of Brox Lane and the surrounding areas. The density of the adjoining properties within Brox Lane was 7.2 units per hectare, in contrast to 28.5 proposed within the 40-unit application. A2 were told by this committee to reduce the number of houses to 14 or less. One of the 2 reasons that the planning officer is recommending refusal tonight is inefficient use of land. Perhaps you can understand our confusion. On this issue, RBC appear to have tunnel vision. For deferment reason 2 on density, BLARA and A2 delivered what this committee asked us to do. Turning to the footpath, committee members and county highways were worried about pedestrian safety due to the increase in traffic within Brox Lane. A public footpath runs the length of the lane. This application includes the extension of the existing footpath from the mouth of Brox Lane into the new estate to a dedicated pedestrian entrance. For deferment reason number 3 on the footpath, BLARA and A2 delivered what this committee asked us to do. The planning officer's other reason for refusal relates to affordable housing, as you've heard. I must emphasise that none of us object to affordable housing within Brox Nursery or anywhere else in Ottershaw for that matter. However, given the revised quantum, it would be obvious to most people that on-site provision of affordable housing would not be economic. A2 Dominion are a housing association. Affordable housing is the bulk of their business. I understand that A2 instead offered a financial contribution in lieu of the lack of on-site affordable housing. Dial House in Englefield Green was recommended for approval in January and provides 8 houses on 0.6 hectares of land. The officer for that application offered no objection to a financial contribution in lieu of on-site affordable housing. As to A2 Dominion themselves, we have found them an absolute pleasure to work with. Quite frankly, I would suggest you do everything you can to encourage their participation within further projects within the borough. In the December 2015 planning meeting, Councillor Butterfield's proposal to defer was supported by Councillors Ashmore, Broadhead, Chowdhury, Gill, Kuzneratis, Lay, Maddox, Parr, Pitt and Warner. Common sense and wisdom was plenty that evening. Many of you will have reviewed the YouTube recording. It would be folly to reject this application, as it is the only viable approach for the nursery site. When was the last time residents and developer stood shoulder to shoulder with so many letters of support? The NPPF says that there should be a presumption in favour of sustainable development. In closing, Madam Chair, I recommend this application for approval by the committee. Please allow A2 to get on and build their homes and allow the residents to get on with their lives. Thank you.
No.
May I ask Mr. Williams?
Okay. Good evening, Chair, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. My name is Andrew Williams. I'm the Director of Boyer, the agent for the application. As you have heard, this application was submitted in response to the committee's decision in December 2015 to defer the original application, which proposed up to 40 units on the site. The application was deferred to invite A2 Dominion to amend the application to reduce the maximum number of units proposed to 14 and to undertake further discussions with local residents in respect of the provision of a footpath and rights of access. The decision was taken to submit a separate full application for an alternative scheme in order to give residents and the council the opportunity to consider full details of the proposed development. Over the last 18 months, as you have heard, A2 Dominion have been working very closely with local residents, culminating in this proposal for 12 units before you today. As a result, they have now reached an agreement with residents, enabling the original 40-unit scheme to be withdrawn. Although the original deferral suggested an alternative figure of 14 units, once initial proposals were prepared, it was felt that a 12-unit scheme would provide a higher quality design and overall layout. Although this results in a relatively low average density, it is reflective of the existing pattern of development along Brox Lane, which has an average density of 7.2 dwellings per hectare. The applicant and his parent company have extensive knowledge of affordable housing solutions and experience in delivering affordable housing schemes, including several recent projects within Runnymede. All of the profits that A2 generates, including those from non-grant funded developments such as this, are reinvested into supporting its social purpose, helping it to deliver more affordable homes and services to customers. A detailed viability assessment was submitted to the Council in December last year, which concluded that this scheme could not viably support an affordable housing contribution. The scheme could, however, fund improvements to Brox Lane and Section 106 contributions towards education and the Thames Basin Heaths SBA on the basis that A2 Dominion lower their profit expectations from standard assumptions. It is unfortunate that it took over 7 months to receive the Council's independent review of the viability assessment, and that despite A2's best efforts, they were not able to reach an agreed position on affordable housing prior to the committee report being finalised. Nonetheless, A2 remain keen to move the matter forward and are therefore willing to offer a commuted sum of £150,000, as you have heard, towards affordable housing in lieu of on-site provision. The contribution has been made by further reducing their profit expectations well below standard levels in an effort to overcome officers' concerns. In all other respects, the proposed development complies with relevant development plan policies and standards, including design, amenity, highways, flood risk, drainage, biodiversity and landscaping, and no objections have been raised by any statutory consultees. In summary, my clients have gone to great lengths to address the committee's previous concerns and to work with local residents in order to provide a scheme which reflects the aspirations of the local community in accordance with the previous deferral. This is evidenced by 128 letters of support received by the Council in respect to this application. I therefore respectfully request that you resolve to grant permission for this application. Thank you.
So, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You've had your presentation, you've heard the objector and the agent speak. It's open to the floor for discussion. Councillor Knight.
Thank you. I'd like to focus on HO1, HO4. Looking at what it says, I'd like to seek some clarification. While we say the Council will resist proposals for changes from existing or proposed residential use to other uses, and initiatives will be encouraged that make full and effective use of the land within urban area, particularly vacant land, we don't say shall or must. The Can you clarify how absolute that commitment is, please?
How absolutely it is in your local plan, members, is a decision for you to make. The plan is quite an old plan, so trying to guess what specific work, leading into specific works that were in the mind of the committee when they proposed that, is difficult. Officers' recommendations, this is a clear indication that, as is now the case, it certainly was the case back then, national and local policy was to make full and effective use of land for housing. This scheme does not, hence the negative recommendation. We feel that that's a relatively clear reading on the face of it, and obviously that's the crux of the first reason for review.
That's my concern. Sorry, can I come back?
You may.
My concern is that we say that we will encourage initiatives. It doesn't say that we shall or must enforce these standards. I have a quandary on that.
Just because there's the nature of policy wording, as you say, you must make decisions in accordance with the development plan, so you must, in your own minds, conclude, does this scheme encourage making a full and effective use of land? That's the semantics of the policy structure. Policies are worded in such a way that they are not absolutely definitive, they're not descriptive lists. They say that we're looking to support those issues. If you feel that this scheme does encourage full and effective use of land, it does substantially increase the supply of housing through your planning policy and decision making, then the first reason obviously isn't for you. If you feel it doesn't encourage full use of land, as officers recommend, then that policy is the reason to refuse it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Bancroft.
Thank you. Having lived in Oxfordshire for many years and now having the honour of being ward councillor for its residents, it is my duty as ward councillor to listen to its residents who voted for me, and it is our duty as a council to listen to the wishes of our electorates. By moving the motion for 12 units tonight, we will be doing exactly that. In 2015, it was recommended that the developer communicated with residents and submitted an application for 14 or less. That was for or less units, which has now been done. The 12 units is a fully detailed application, and the Brox residents will allow access for the 12 units to go ahead, as it is in keeping with the village and will not overstretch the infrastructure. Although it fills me and many residents with great sadness to see green fields developed for housing, we understand the need for them and the need for affordable housing, which I saw today there is plenty of being built all over the borough. Therefore, the residents are happy to see 12 beautiful homes and good-sized gardens being planted tonight. To defer this tonight will just delay things again, cost officer time and money, and it has already cost considerable amount of time and money, and not only to officers but residents as well. I urge this committee to listen to the residents of Oxfordshire and vote for the 12 units to go ahead and finally put this matter to bed.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairman. As Vice Chair of the Planning Committee, I find I'm at odds with what we sometimes do and sometimes what we're asked to do by central government, and this perhaps is one of them. And I can't help wondering whether if this particular plot of land had become available in the middle of Wellington Avenue in Virginia Water, exactly whether we'd be looking at 40 units going on there, or whether we'd be more happy with the Now, that doesn't mean to say that at this moment in time I'm against it or I'm for it. But we stand, over the 17 years I've been here and on planning, we've started to run the risk of Ottershaw merging into Addlestone, Addlestone merging into Newhall, Newhall merging into our neighbouring borough of Woking. And if we go the other way, we've also got rumbles that places like Ottershaw Nursery, the Christmas Tree Farm, and the area at the back of Bisham's Lane bordering St Peter's Way, and the parcel of land by Hatch Bridge, all becoming, at some point in the next not too distant future, up for planning. And I think sometimes we need to step back and look at what is aesthetically nice, and I've been told we shouldn't do this, but maybe I'm old-fashioned, maybe we should. So, on me, yes, I understand the planning law and the planning regulations probably as much as anybody does here, because I've been with it for an awful long time. But when you're asked to go back and look at 14 and produce 12, and it looks nice, even I have to start raising some questions. That does not mean to say I wouldn't support the officers or the policy, but you have to put the thing in perspective. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the first for me to see residents and developers united. Normally it's the other way around. One question, on the map there we're showing the site as Brox. We haven't included the lane itself in the measurement, have we? Because that's not part of the site.
Just to be clear, the application site, yes, includes all of this. I've just shown you the red line here, and it comes around and then up here. So the lane is included in the actual application site.
That's why it's not part of the site that's being developed.
It is a requirement when you're doing a planning application to show the red line out to the public eye.
Next. I'm slightly confused because all the planning training we do, we're always presumptive to grant, and we're always looking for reasons not to, yet I'm finding this one totally the opposite to everything we've experienced. If this committee was minded to grant this application, it doesn't tie our hands in it, or the developer's hands in any other way, does it?
If the committee feels there's a reason that differs from the report here and can articulate why this application should be granted, it will depend on that reason for granting it. We need to explain that so that we can capture it in the minutes, and depending on what this committee judges, we'll obviously provide guidance for future developers of greenfield sites in the borough, but it really depends what the reason for granting the application is.
Could I also ask that, should this committee decide to move to a grant, could we transfer the conditions from the one which was drawn and add it to this? Or would you like us to put that as a motion to add them on individually?
Should the committee decide to recommend a grant, it would have to be deferred for Section 106 agreement to be brought into being, and for proper conditions to be set against the planning application.
It would have to be deferred. Okay. I don't know where else to go. I'm done. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Kate.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a good scheme, and I should be voting for it. The fact that it hasn't got any affordable housing, I think the office has perhaps should have looked at this at pre-app stage and suggested we've got some in somewhere, and I'm sure it could be done. So I wonder why the officers haven't told the applicant to put some in there.
To assist, obviously officers did, the applicant was put forward until today, that there was no viability to support any affordable housing within the scheme. Officers have taken the firm position throughout the couple of years of life of this site that a better scheme, a 40-house scheme, could provide on-site affordable, and even this scheme, which is unacceptable on policy grounds, could still make a contribution to affordable housing, and indeed could make a contribution to affordable housing greater than £150,000 that they are now proposing. So that's the consistency of our officers who provided this committee and the applicant at the pre-application stage, which goes all the way back to 2015.
Well, irrelevant what you say, I should be voting for it. The chances of French police arriving to arrest me are so small, Mr. Remnant.
Quite see the relevance of French police. I just wanted to come back on another question. It did strike me as well that whilst looking at this, 870 million are probably one of the largest affordable homes builders in the UK.
They absolutely work with us normally hand in glove. They have I believe they have a head office in Staines where, oh sorry, well, I thought it is so. I'm assuming that the sort of developments A2 normally do, the sales of this proceed would go back into building affordable housing somewhere. That's an assumption.
That is an assumption, Councillor Cosmatis.
But I look at other developments that they have done, like Rockshart, I think that was A2. So I am struggling slightly here on what looks like a really nice development, knowing this money could be spent back in our borough again if other sites come up. Because of all the planning training we've had, I'm struggling to say that, to agree.
So obviously the internal financial mechanism of A2 isn't something we can comment on, but I can provide members, and what we've been consistently advising members for the years I've been here, is the major challenge for running it is the provision of land for housing. We have money. HRA has generated a surplus to invest in affordable housing. What we lack is land that can be efficiently used for housing. By underusing this land, we reduce the housing stock opportunities in the borough and the affordable housing stock opportunities. This is land that can take affordable housing. By delivering this scheme, it doesn't take affordable housing, which is a fundamental combination of the two recommended reasons for refusal. There is a presumption in favour of sustainable development. The officer's advice is this is not sustainable development because it fails to substantially increase the supply of housing within the borough.
Thank you, Mr. Well, that's a very comprehensive answer, and it's one that I would fully agree with, but then I'd look next door. We should make that statement before we invested there. If we needed housing so bad, we should have been building housing on our land.
We have Councillor Cosmatis. Councillor Mrs Gill. Thank you.
How many council has it?
Thank you. Yes, I was at that meeting in December, and back 2015 I was very unhappy about the road access. I was told at that time that wasn't part of the planning, and I understood that, but I voted with my heart and I felt that wasn't the way forward for me, so I voted for that deferment that night. The deferment has been carried out in most areas, but I now come back to a problem that I do have with affordable housing, because A2 Dominion to me are affordable housing providers. That's what they do in Runnymede. That's what they provide in Runnymede. And with the best will in the world, I'm looking at this and I'm looking at 4 or 5 bedroom executive homes. I mean, Councillor Parr makes the point about Virginia Water. I can't comment on that. I can comment on my own area in Thorpe, where we're trying to formulate our own neighbourhood plan. And the last thing I want in Thorpe is executive homes. I don't need executive homes in Thorpe. I want small homes for people to be able to live in Runnymede, because they cannot afford to live in Runnymede. There's even a query over affordable housing, I know, but I'm still uncomfortable, even though I went with that decision back in December 2015. This is still partly flawed for me, because the point that hasn't come forward is we all live in nice houses. I'm being made the point the density levels are quite low in Ottershaw. You're very lucky. Where I live in Thorpe, they're relatively low again, and yet we have in the middle of it Fleetway and Gower, which has skewed it completely. But that happens. Land is not available in the southeast, and what land is available has to be used for the people who we want to live in this area, to work in this area. And they don't all want to live in executive homes, and it's a real difficult balance for me, because I agree with Councillor Cosmatis. I feel in my mind I'm going against everything that I've had in planning training. There's a presumption in favour of sustainable development. But I suppose the word that's now coming back to haunt me a little bit is sustainable. And with the best will in the world, are 12 executive homes in there the right place for them to be in that land? And I'm in a real quandary over that, because I think there should be affordable housing.
Thank you, Councillor Mrs Gill. Councillor Mrs Lack.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Gill has stolen a bit of my thunder, there she. Anyway, I was also at that meeting in December 15, I'm just going to criticise slightly because the 14 or below, that was Howard Butterfield's assumption. We were not happy at all with the access, and we were not happy with what was being put on the site, i.e. I understood, me personally, I wasn't happy with 1 and 2 bedroomed low-rise flats because we didn't feel that that was in character at all with the area, and I still don't feel that's in character. But I have to look at that and wonder whether that is the best use of the land, to come up with executive homes that are going to cost multi-million pounds to actually buy. I mean, every single person sitting here probably can't afford to buy one of those. Now, what I really would like to see on there is maybe some 3-bedroomed houses that the youngsters of this borough can actually afford. This is the problem we've got. I mean, just to go back, I wasn't happy with Wick Lane when that was brought forward. I was really concerned again about the access, but since then, I mentioned to Councillor Gutteratis, I've been there and looked at Wick Lane, and actually they've done an incredible job there. And there is affordable housing there. And just to go back to A2 building the Wop Shop development, they only agreed to build that development because there was a mix of affordable and houses that were being sold. So the houses that were sold actually paid A2, the development. So, you know, when that was first done, that was quadrupled because they needed to earn enough money to actually build the affordable houses. And we were concerned, Councillor and I were both concerned about the density and how many houses were going on there, especially as they were going to have to bring them all up to alleviate the flood issues. And they did a good job. Without a shadow of a doubt, they did a good job. The estate is up and running, and it's well run. And all those that bought the houses, but I mean, this here, it really goes against the grain. And what really, I suppose, sickens me is 150,000 isn't enough. Those houses are going to probably sell for £2+ million each. And they can have 150,000. You know, we need houses for our youngsters. My youngsters can't afford to buy houses in this area without the help of us, without us having to remortgage our house to give them money. So I would like to see some affordable houses, not necessarily 1 and 2 bed flats, because I think we're awash with them, but I'd like to have seen some decent 3-bed houses on there. And there's a serious amount of land, and look at the gardens they've all got. I don't think anybody sitting here has a garden like that. I think I've said enough.
Yeah.
I'll just let the steam. Councillor Gutteratis.
I'd just like to come back because Councillor named me in the conversation. I think there's a confusion on what affordable housing is. It's not social housing. Affordable housing is normally 80% the value of the houses, not like social housing. There's no way that our kids, as she puts it, which isn't a planning reason, could even afford the houses in Wick Lane. They're £400,000 to £500,000 houses. The affordable housing down at Long Cross, they start at £400,000, I think it was when I looked. So the word affordable is totally different. I think what Councillor is referring to is socially acceptable housing. That's a different kettle of fish. It's not a planning reason, as far as I'm aware, for us to determine what the value of the house is that the developer builds or sells. What we're here to determine is whether that application is acceptable on that site. Not the value of the home, not what we want for our children. That's not planning issues, as far as I'm aware.
Thank you, Councillor.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Thank you, Chair. Affordable housing is defined in the National Planning Policy Framework. It's either shared equity housing through the mechanism of partial rent and partial ownership, affordable rent, which is 80% of market rent, which is dictated by social rent, the fixed on the local housing allowance or other cap. There's other areas of affordable housing under negotiation, as you know, starter homes, buy-to-lets, etc. Affordable housing, though, is exactly as it is actually managed and supported through our housing department for those on the housing site before, not before you have to be clear, before providing affordable homes. 1, 2, mostly 3-bed units that would provide you as shared equity or affordable rent, which would be available to people on our housing waiting list. Obviously, their housing benefit helps support those that can't make those rents, but they are affordable on that definition. It is different to low-cost homes, which is also a very high demand environment, but obviously the smaller the housing, the lower the cost. You're also quite correct, it isn't for us to dictate how much a developer sells their property for, but that property value is a key planning consideration to the extent of sites like this. We invited the developer to look at this scheme viabilities to see if he could justify that this was the only scheme that was going to work on the site. There's a different scheme that would be policy compliant, would not be deliverable. What was revealed in the development process assessments was that a scheme of higher density that provides affordable housing also return a reasonable return to the developer, and thus there was no special justification for reducing the density, increasing the income, reducing the affordable housing. Hence the second reason for refusal on the application. This scheme, because of the choice of the developer, doesn't provide for affordable housing other than in the 11th hour £150,000 offer for financial contributions in lieu. We feel the site, both under your policy, should provide for affordable housing, and indeed can provide for more affordable housing practically on this site with a higher community value to it.
Thank you. Was this land always in private ownership? Tell me it wasn't in a council land. No, we didn't say that.
It's I can answer that one quickly. So, as far as I know, it's got to be in private ownership. It's allocated as a reserve housing site all back to 1986.
The next question is just more of a formality matter. If the committee was to decide to go against the officer's recommendation, does that need to be proposed and seconded, or they just vote against it?
All committee motions require a proposer and a seconder, whether that's to grant refusal or defer any decisions.
No, I was aware of that. The question was if the committee were minded to grant, they would have to vote against this. Would they then need to propose to grant it? No. What I wouldn't want to see is to have to defer it, waste more officer time on it, to come back and see if someone wants to defer it again and again. And I really wouldn't want to find ourselves in a position where the developer could then challenge us on non-determination. So for me, I just want to make sure we do it right tonight, whichever way we go. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fitzgerald. Councillor Broadhead.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. We've heard some very interesting arguments this evening. I do appreciate that the residents and the developers got together and they've come up with a plan between them. But what I'd like to know, I'll go back a bit further. Councillor Bancroft actually spoke very well on behalf of residents and the A2 developers. I really enjoyed listening to Cosmonatis because it's always a bit of an enjoyment. Councillor Lane has brought up some very good, interesting points regarding previous developments, and I also sympathise with Councillor Gill because I too feel that this land, 14 units or 12 units, is under development of the site as far as I'm concerned. There is no affordable housing. That's because there is only 12 units going in there. Anything more, I believe, would have to put 1 or 2 affordable housing on. We've got an area of 1.4 hectares. I would like clarification on what the official number is of housing that we should be putting onto this sort of size, and also as much as I like big houses, I have a fairly big house myself with lots of garden around it. I do feel in this case that Ottershaw does not warrant 4 and 5 bedroom houses. If you want one of those, you move to Wentworth or Virginia Water.
Absolute rubbish.
My feelings are that a site is overdeveloped in large houses and should have affordable housing within it.
Councillor Broadhead, Councillor Pitt.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This is a pretty rare application of land. In the time I've been in this committee, I've never seen a site being filled with executive housing. And I think this area deserves a few executive houses. There's many, many other sites where the affordable housing, as the term I use it, can be accommodated. But I think this is okay for this site.
Councillor Lane.
Thank you, Chairman. Just to come back quickly, I assume that we're sitting here tonight and we're trying to debate whether this is the best use of the land. Am I correct? Okay. You know, again, my main concern is just putting 12 houses on there. I mean, I would never have agreed to the 40 because I do think that that was, the density, personally, I felt was too much. But as far as I was concerned, when this was deferred, it was deferred basically because we were not happy with the rights of way. I appreciate that you say it's not a planning issue, but we felt that if this wasn't deferred and the residents did not talk to the developers or running leads as a whole, then this would end up as stalemate. Because they've obviously got to negotiate the right of way. So if we decide to turn this down tonight, or go with the officer's recommendation, I presume this goes back to the drawing board, am I correct?
So the applicants have withdrawn their other application, so if none of the recommendation is refused, there will be for the applicants to decide if they wish to make a new application.
They take it to appeal.
Or they can take it to appeal, or they can wait to see the applications in the new urban plan and look at reviewing their position at that time of the year. So they will have to make that judgment, obviously, depending on the decision of the
Because the inspector last time said that as far as he was concerned, he actually mentioned a density of 48 houses on this, am I correct? That he couldn't see a problem with this, but he obviously said there was some sort of issue with the access and the towpath, I think, or the footpath that needed to be sorted out. But I mean, he thought it was an acceptable scheme.
Paragraph 6.4 details the 2007 plan decision, which was judicial scheme of 48, which the inspector felt actually wasn't quite the right scheme, but was satisfied that it would be possible to design a scheme that is going onto the site in an acceptable way.
Councillor Knight.
Thank you. I've been mulling over HA1 and will be concerned to me, and probably most of my fellow councillors, is to whether this is making full and effective use. The point I'm coming to, following on to Councillor Lay's comments, this has the support of the residents, and that means enabled access. That means it's being effectively used, because without the agreement there is no access and there can be no development. Would be ineffective. I'm still concerned over the provision for affordable housing. I think I've resolved my quandaries on the first point. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. That's mine. Private rights, way, access to considerations, procurement applications, obviously other reasons.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but we can't actually hear you at the back here. I think the sound needs to be turned up a bit.
Yeah, private rights, private rights of way, and not material considerations when you consider any application.
Councillor Kizanarakis.
Thank you for your tolerance. I think we deferred the last one, much has been raised by Councillor Lay. we expected the developer to go away and try and talk to the residents and the council and come back with an acceptable site. They seem to have done that and they've come back with an acceptable site. I believe part of the negotiations there was legal advice sought by both sides. I don't particularly feel comfortable if we're refusing something to grant something else to create a conflict. I think we should be working together to do things. This site to me doesn't look too bad. Concerned that some of the way the comments are going backwards and forwards. So my final point is I would just like to exercise my right to a main vote, please.
Thank you, Councillor Kisner-Artis. I see no more lights, ladies and gentlemen.
Madam Chairman,
Councillor.
just before I do anything here, I think members could well be advised by Mr Maguire as to if we refuse this, it obviously is refused, it goes back and the developer either has to submit a new plan or sit on the piece of land until the LDF is complete. If we
Or appeal.
Pardon?
Or appeal.
Or appeal. If we deferred it, what would happen?
Obviously, much like any decision that isn't in accordance with the detailed recommendation, it will depend on why and why you're deferring it. If you're deferring it for a specific purpose, it will be delaying the decision until that specific purpose was resolved. But without knowing what ground for deferral there would be, I obviously can't comment on what action the developer would take. The developer does have the right after a period of time, which I expect we have passed that line, to appeal for non-determination, which is effectively an appeal as if it would have been refused. The same process is followed, which they could also exercise, but it will depend on why any member would feel it should be deferred.
I see no more lights. Councillor Parr.
Well, I'm not entirely happy, but to refuse means that something else or this has got to come back again. And so I will reluctantly move to refuse, and I hope what comes back is not a lot bigger than we have seen tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Parr. Do I have a seconder?
I second that, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Broadhead. So that has been moved and seconded. A named vote has been requested. I beg your pardon?
If we vote to refuse, does that mean it's wrong?
If we vote to refuse, if we vote in favour, it will be refused.
So
If we vote in favour of the recommendation,
no, if we don't vote to refuse,
no.
does that mean it's granted?
No.
Which
If
is
we
why-
vote in favour of the recommendation, which is the recommendation is to refuse, it will be refused.
Which is why I asked earlier, that should the committee be minded to
We
not
will take
refuse?
that when it happens, but for the moment, we'll
Right,
take the
right
vote.
to vote. I did ask that should the committee be considering not refusing, do we need to set
do.
a motion prior to the vote?
No,
So
we
can bring a
take
motion
this
up.
vote, Councillor.
That's right, I just wanted to clarify.
Madam Chairman, just for clarity for members, if they vote for, it's for the refusal that's here.
Is in favour of the recommendation.
I will put your names out to say here on the list, and you can indicate whether you're voting for, against, or abstaining.
For.
Councillor Parr. Councillor Broadhead.
For.
Councillor Cotton.
Abstention.
Councillor Reeds. Councillor Skill. Councillor Knight.
For.
Councillor Kusmaitis.
Against.
Councillor Slade.
For.
Councillor Bancroft. Councillor Pitt.
Please.
Councillor Smaller.
For.
9 for, 1 against.
Four against.
No.
4 against, sorry. 4 against. 1 abstention.
Therefore, that planning application is refused.